Y'all hear those horns? You know what that means. It's time to play some toss. Welcome everybody to another episode of Tristain on Sports Show Toss. This is your main man, T-Squared. Tristain Thomas here with you for another edition. Glad you could join us. And man, it is probably one of my favorite times of the year in sports right now. We've got the NFL season going. You know, we're about 6-7 games into that. We've got NHL hockey is back. I love playoff hockey, so the road to get to that is always intriguing. Man, we've got the classic, the fall classic, the World Series going on, and that game is off and popping right now. It started off with fireworks in the bottom of the first. Alcides Escobar with an inside the park home run in the first inning, and Alex Gordon ties the game up in the bottom of the ninth with one out against the Mets closer Familia. That game is in extra innings as we speak right now. And we've got the NBA back, y'all. The NBA is back. The Warriors got their rings. They look gorgeous. We saw a playoff-like atmosphere with the president in the house for the Chicago Bulls versus Cleveland Cavaliers game in favor of the Chicago Bulls, 97-95. It was a playoff-like atmosphere, tough defense, ugly shooting because of that, came down to the wire. Well-played game. That's exactly what you want to start the season off. And the best part of it is that the real deal gets started tomorrow night. If you fear no man, you will fear the deer. The Milwaukee Bucks season gets started tomorrow night as we tape this on a Tuesday night. And I, for one, cannot wait. This is what we all been waiting for, y'all. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. Ever since that horrible loss to end our season in the playoffs against the Bulls last season, we've been wanting to get back to this, and tomorrow night it begins. Now, you will not have your full complement of players. Jabari Parker is obviously probably going to be out for a few weeks while he continues to rehab that knee. We've gone over this. Hey, he needs all the time in the world, so they're going to give it to him. There's no reason to rush Jabari Parker back, and they will not do so. So we won't see him for a few weeks probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2-3 weeks that we don't see him. I wouldn't be surprised if they push it closer to a month just to make sure that he's ready to play. Again, ACL injuries, to get back to full strength, to get back to doing what you normally do, it really takes 18 months. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. We're not all Adrian Peterson running around here. We're not all freaks in nature like that. That's a special case, but to really get back to where you were, it's 18 months. We're only 10 months in from when he originally got injured. So they're going to give him all the time in the world that he needs to get himself, if not 100%, very, very close. It has to be in the high 90s for them to put him back on that court and allow him to play. So we're not going to see him for a few weeks. Giannis, he's not going to be there. 1 game suspension from what happened in that playoff game, him tossing Mike Dunleavy, and quite honestly, Dunleavy deserved it. How Dunleavy got away with any kind of punishment after what he did with that flagrant elbow, I will never understand, but he got no punishment. Giannis did. He's got to serve that suspension, so we will not be seeing him tomorrow night. And OJ Mayo, he's out with injury. We will not be seeing him tomorrow night either. So you're not going to have your full complement of players, but that doesn't temper the excitement any less. Everyone is very, very excited about this team. You have everybody from Stephen A. Smith predicted the Bucks to finish 4th in the Eastern Conference. Look, if this were the West and they were in the West, I'd be saying, okay, probably not. The West is stacked. It's tough. I have no doubt they would have success over there, but I don't think it would be to the tune of a 4 seed. But because it's the East, I'm not completely putting that outside of the realm of possibility. Not really to say that that's not going to happen. It quite possibly could. I mean, look at what happened last season. Plus 26 in the win column. You went from 15 wins to 41 wins. 41 up, 41 down, which Jabari Parker predicted last season. Creepy, right? He predicted this year that they'll get 50 wins. Who am I to argue? He's batting 1,000. So, so we'll see about that. But Stephen A. Smith has them finishing fourth in the Eastern Conference. Charles Barkley is saying Milwaukee is a team that they need to watch. Look, I heard the story out there, him saying that they're going to win the East. He's their sleeper pick to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, who everybody pretty much has coming out of the East. And we'll get to those predictions a little bit later in the show. I don't know about that one. That's very bold. A lot of things would have to happen right for this ball club. Not to say that things haven't been happening right, but I think they're still very young. They still have a lot to learn. I think we're still a couple of years away from that. But as long as they continue going upward and onward and on this path that they're on, I have no doubt that they'll be able to get there. And it won't be such a eyebrow-raising prediction. So everyone is really, really, really excited about this team. Even Sports Illustrated predicted this team to finish fifth in the Eastern Conference. Again, we'll get to my prediction later. Now, there's some pluses and some minuses with this ball club. You know, you got some good and some bad, and that's with every ball. That's with every ball club. The pluses, you got an inside punch with Greg Monroe, the Moose among deer. You have a legitimate double-double guy, which is something that the Bucks really haven't had since Andrew Bogut was really playing well many years ago. Bogut was a 15-10 guy with a couple of blocks for a couple of years there in the tough defensive-minded system of Scott Skiles. So you really haven't had that for a few years, and it's really the team has really suffered because of that. But now you got a guy who could roll out of bed and get you a double-double. I mean, he can pretty much get you a double-double in his sleep. Greg Monroe can. So that's definitely a plus. It's something that's going to play very well to this ball club's strengths, I believe. Grievous Vasquez. I don't think a lot of people or enough people have been talking about him. I like him. He's a tall guard. He can really see over the defense. He can distribute the basketball. He can shoot the basketball. He can defend a little bit. I really like that trade for him. He's going to be a huge plus. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if at some point in the season, if Michael Carter-Williams is not shooting the ball effectively, not being the effective guard that we all know that he can be, that Grievous Vasquez gets started over Michael Carter-Williams. I would not put that out of the realm of possibility. We all know that Jason Kidd is a guy who likes to mix and match his lineups. And I find that to be a real possibility if things are going right with MCW. Another thing I find very, 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 very huge for this ball club is the fact that I believe that they will continue their excellence in defense. They will continue to be an elite defensive ball club. In terms of overall defense in the entire NBA, the Bucks ranked 7th last season in overall defense. They were a top 10 defensive ball club in overall defense. That needs to continue. If you can get it up a couple of spots, all the better. But if you could remain a top 10 defensive ball club, you are going to give yourself a chance in games where you may not have it offensively, but your defense can get you back into it. So I see them to continue being an elite defensive ball club. Their length, their athleticism, their speed, their quickness, that allows you to be a very good defensive ball club. This overloading defensive scheme that Jason Kidd loves to run for this ball club, making it tough to get to the rim, and it makes perimeter shots very difficult, especially with their length and their speed to be able to recover on the defensive end. It's going to make a lot of teams' lives hell. So I do see that continuing. I do see them taking maybe a couple steps up, maybe being number 5, because it's another year within the system. It's all dependent on if Greg Monroe could get a hold of this system. Because, obviously he's not really the rim protector. If anyone is a rim protector on his ball club, it's definitely John Henson. He's coming off the bench. So if he can get a hold of that, I think this is going to bode extremely well for this ball club. But with pluses, there come minuses. And we all know what the bugaboo with this ball club is going to be. 3-point shooting is definitely going to be a concern. Honestly, you have, I believe, one person on this ball club that hit at least 40% or a shade above 40%, and that's Chris Middleton, who proved to be a very good shooter. See, in terms of NBA shooting, you want to be a 45-40 kind of guy if you're not an inside type of player. If you're a Greg Monroe type of player, you need to be at 50% if not close, because a lot of your baskets are going to come in the post, and it's going to be high percentage. So you need to be in somewhere in that 50% range. But if you're an outside shooter, wing shooter, mid-range shooter, you need to be in that 45% range. That's beginning to be pretty good. Three-point shooting, you need to be at 40%. You can do that, you're pretty good. Even at 35%, you're considered pretty decent. But you hit that 40 mark, it's like, okay, they're legit from three. Chris Middleton is legit from three, 40.7% last season from the three-point line. I think the next in line after that is Grievous Vasquez, and I believe he hit 39% from three. Not quite sure on that one, but I know it's somewhere close. So he's another guy that could definitely hit the three-point shot for you. Michael Carter-Williams was at 23%. He's not going to hit a three for you. He can barely hit an open basket, an open shot for you. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this preseason him pass up wide open shots. We're not talking three-pointers here, because we know he passed those up. That's not really in his game right now. Not to say that it can't be, because remember, the guy he's playing for, his head coach, Jason Kidd, couldn't hit a shot to save his life when he first came into the league. He was a lot like Michael Carter-Williams. He was a drive it to the basket, distribute it, although I think he was a way better passer and had a little bit higher of a basketball IQ when he came in as opposed to Michael Carter-Williams. But he evolved, and he taught himself how to shoot the basketball. He taught himself how to be a good three-point shooter, and it extended his career for many, many, many years, and it made him an asset. Got him a ring possibly because of that with the Mavericks, because he was able to have that high basketball IQ and hit a three-point shot. That's going to be survival for you. So they really have a couple of guys who can shoot the three, but everyone else is really low 30s and 20s. That's just not going to get it done. Somebody's got to step up. Now, you bring in Chris Copeland, who has shown ability to hit the three-point shot, but I think he's streaky. OJ Mayo, another guy who's coming off the bench, I think he's extremely streaky. I think he was in the low 30s or 20s as far as hitting the three-point basket last season as well. So it's not like you have absolute snipers out there. Rashad Vaughn, I think, has shown that he has the potential to be able to do that, but I'm not sure if he's going to get much time in this rotation. But again, I mean, you hope so. He really showed a lot in preseason. I think he's earned that time to see what you can do in the regular season. I think he's earned that time. But anyway, my name's not Jason Kidd. I'm not the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. He is, and he will make that decision on what's best for the ball club. So shooting is definitely going to cost his team a couple of games. A couple or more, a couple or a few, because it's going to come down to where you need to make a three-point shot. And if you don't have, I mean, everybody's going to cover certain guys. You go back to the playoffs and you've seen what the Bulls did to Chris Middleton. Yeah, he scored 20 plus in a few games, but he was a volume shooter. So to get his 20, 23 points, he had to take 24, 25 shots. That's not very efficient. So I think that their inability to hit a three-point basket is going to cost them a few games. Hey, newsflash, you're not going to go 82-0. So when I say that it's going to cost them a few games, know that I'm not saying that they're going to be a god-awful team, because they're not. I'm saying in the games that they lose, this is going to be a reason why. Not every game, but this is going to cost them a couple of games. But you hope for the best. You hope that maybe guys got into the gym, learned how to shoot the three on a little bit more consistent basis. Although, again, I haven't really seen that all preseason long. But you hope, obviously you have the entire season. It's a work in progress. Guys can get better. They can hit that three. You just hope for better days behind the arc. And you hope they get that shored up, because that, I think, is an Achilles heel. And their health. Their health right now isn't exactly where you want it to be. OJ Mayo is already injured. Jabari Parker is coming off of injury. He's still rehabbing that. You're not going to see him for a few weeks. Guys got to stay healthy, man. Guys have to absolutely stay healthy. And you could say that with any ball club. But with a young team like this, losing any time means losing continuity, and you just can't afford that. These guys need to be playing with each other, for each other, and the only way they're going to do that is if they're on the court together. So losing time with injury is going to be detrimental to this team's chemistry, to this team's development, and you just hope that everyone is relatively healthy. You're going to have your nicks, your bumps, and your bruises over an 82-game season. It's inevitable. Every team goes through it. But I'm just hoping that they can avoid the devastating season-ending injury, unlike last season. And again, you went on to have a good season, 41-41. Nobody saw it. But you're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. You know, you were the surprise of the NBA last season. You had 15 wins the prior year. Everybody was thinking that you may get 1 or 2 more wins, even with Jason Kidd coming in. I, for one, thought they would get 30. That was my prediction. And they blew everyone out the water. Again, I mentioned at the top of the show that Jabari Parker last season said they would win as many games as they lost. And he was right. That was creepy. Just like this year, he's saying that they're going to go 50-32. He sees them winning 50 games. And again, who am I to argue with him? He's batting 1,000. He said they would go 41-41 last season. Hey, I hope he's right. I hope he's right. I hope they do win 50 games. That's going to put you in good position, especially with this brand new playoff reseeding. That's going to put you in good position if you can win 50 games in the East. Because let's be clear, the East, every team is not going to win 50. Every team that makes the playoffs is not going to win 50. It may be the top 3 teams that win 50, and everybody else is in the 40s. So if you win 50, that's going to put you in a good position for home court advantage, which would be phenomenal. It would be phenomenal to get home court advantage, to be at the BMO BC and play from that home crowd in games 1 and 2 as opposed to 3 and 4. Get yourself off to a good start. Jabari Parker thinks they're going to win 50. Stephen A. Smith feels that they will finish 4th in the East. Charles Barkley is going crazy saying they're going to win the East. But then he also said to keep your eyes on this ball club. People need to really watch them and keep their eyes on them. And Sports Illustrated also feels that they will finish 5th in the East. I was on the Home Court Sports radio show last week, and big ups to those guys. Eugene, Lamont, Mr. C. You can catch those guys on Home Court Sports every single Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time on Blog Talk Radio. Some of the biggest Bucks fans I know. They bring great radio to the airwaves, so I think everybody should go and check them out. But I was on their show last week, and they asked me for my prediction. And if you're listening, you know what I'm going to say. If you paid attention to my Twitter, you know what I'm going to say. But if you haven't, then here's my prediction. This is what I said. I think the fact that they have more of an inside punch with Greg Monroe, you have a little bit of better outside shooting with Grievous Vasquez. I think that should be good enough for 6 more wins than they had last season. I foresee the Milwaukee Bucks going 47-35, and I foresee that being good enough for 5th in the Eastern Conference. 47-35, 5th in the East is my prediction for this ball club. I think it's realistic. I would love to be wrong. I hope it's more than that. I hope they get a top 4 seed, maybe a top 3, even though, hey, your record doesn't matter anymore. Well, actually, your record does matter, but it doesn't matter if you win a division. They're going to reseed you. I hope they finish in the top half of the league with a very good record. I hope they do get to 50, like Jabari said. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. The last time they won 50 games here, George Karl was the coach. They went 52-30. So I would definitely love to see that. That would be 50 is like a benchmark. It's like, wow, you guys are 50-game winners. You know, that you're a good squad. Not that they're not. 41 was a surprise, but you want to take that next step. I don't see them getting 50 wins this season. My gut definitely says, and especially from what I've been seeing, it says 47. 47 and that being good enough for 5th in the East. Doesn't mean that they're a bad team, but they're taking that next step in the progression. The slogan is own the future. And the future takes time. You need to understand this is still a very young team. It's going to take time for them to gel, for everybody to come together. Again, like I said, you're not going to have your full complement of players all together. You're still waiting on Jabari Parker to get into this and see what you got out of him or what you have in him. So once all the pieces come together, we're able to see what these guys are together, playing over a good chunk of games, 20, 25 games, then you can make a judgment. But the thing is, they're 0-0. Most teams in the league are 0-0. I'm excited. The season starts tomorrow. I will most definitely be watching. I wish I could be there in person, but I cannot this season. I cannot be at the season opener, but I'm definitely going to be watching at home, cheering and rooting those guys on and hoping for what happened. Well, I hope for a better result than what happened in last year's season opener because they lost, even after they had a huge lead to the Hornets, I believe. So you're hoping for a better result against the New York Knicks. Again, 47-35. Fifth in the East. That is my prediction for the Milwaukee Bucks this season. I am excited to see what those guys do. It's a step in the right direction for the future. We're getting close, y'all. I feel like we're getting close. It's very exciting, and a lot of people are very excited about it. Not just Bucks fans, but media is taking notice, and the rest of the league is taking notice, and that's what you want. That is what you want. Moving on. With State of the State, which is what we're in, the Green Bay Packers had their bye week, much needed after a huge win against the San Diego Chargers. They needed this bye week because a lot of guys need to get healthy because they have a big one coming up on Sunday. Sunday Night Football, Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos in Denver. This is a tall task, very tall task. But let's get back to the Green Bay Packers before we talk about that game. They needed this bye week because a lot of guys are banged up and flat out injured. We're going to start off with Eddie Lacy. What's up with him? What is the team health like? What is up with him? We spoke about him last week, and it was 4 carries, 3 yards. They started James Starks. That to me tells me he's not healthy. His ankle injury is a little bit worse off than they're really letting anyone know. So what is up with him? Did he get healthy over the bye week? You definitely hope so because you're definitely going to need him. You are most definitely going to need him. Devontae Adams, what is his health status? Where is he? I know he's done more than he has in practice for quite a few weeks. I mean, you kind of got him back, he kind of rushed back, and you let him in, and he immediately went down a couple plays in because of that high ankle sprain against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, and then you missed him the next 3 weeks. What is his health status? Where is he at? I hear him saying that he's not where he wants to be, but it's a lot better. You said that the last time, and then again, you went down a couple plays into that Kansas City Chiefs game. We can't afford that. These high ankle sprains are very, very tricky. They don't heal quickly, and they're tricky. They don't heal quickly, and then they heal weird. And you think you're good one day, and the next day you try to push off of it, jump off of it, make a cut, and you're back down again. Is he close to even 90%? You really need him because you're getting pretty thin at that wide receiver position. Again, Ty Montgomery had an ankle injury. What is his health status? Where is he? We don't know the status on him. B.J. Raji, how is his groin injury? Again, he was in practice. He did some things, but how close is he? Is he going to be able to play? Because you're going to need him. Your run defense has suffered because of him. Because he hasn't been in there. How good is he? Is he able to go? Morgan Burnett, the safety, pretty much the quarterback of that defense. Things run a lot more smoothly with him in there. Again, the rookies have stepped up in his absence and have made huge plays. So your passing defense, I mean, you wish you could say the passing defense hasn't suffered much, but you go back and look at what Phillip Rivers did, 503 yards on 65 passes and no interceptions with 2 touchdowns. It's hard to say that they've been okay. But Phillip Rivers is going to do that. He's going to do that to a lot of teams. Like I said, he's a damn good quarterback. And they basically had no other option but to pass the football because they can't run it. But I digress. What is his status? How is his calf? Now, that's another tricky injury. TJ Lang, offensive lineman, what is his status? Is he good? Can't afford to have too much turnover on that offensive line and start getting number 12 beat up. There's a lot of questions with health on this team right now to key players. You need all these guys because this game in Denver is going to be a tough one. You're going to need all hands on deck to get this win in Denver. Are there going to be any changes offensively? Your offense has struggled the past 3 games. We've all seen that. You can officially say it's struggling after 3 weeks, and it's not working like a well-oiled machine. Granted, you scored 27 points. It's hard to say that an offense that scored 27 points in that last game before the bye week is struggling, but look at how it happened. It's not really working like that well-oiled machine. Now, granted, they're averaging 27 points per game. It's good for 11th. They have the 11th overall offense in the NFL. Kind of used to them being in top 10 status. So it's kind of hard to say that they're struggling, but hey, tape don't lie. We've all watched the games. I've gone back and watched all the games twice. They are struggling. Are there going to be any changes to account for injuries? Are you going to get other guys involved? Are you going to change the scheme just a little bit? Not a whole lot, but a little bit just to kind of get these guys back on track. Are there going to be any changes defensively to kind of shore up that run defense? Because you're going to face a lot of better runners. You still got 2 against the Vikings. And last I checked, they still have Adrian Peterson, who's still running at a very high level. You still got another one with Matt Forte, who absolutely just gashes you no matter what. And the Bears are playing a lot better. So you still got some pretty good running backs to go up against. So are you going to change things to kind of shore up things without B.J. Raji being in there on the run defense? Are you going to change things up schematically on the passing defense without Morgan Burnett being in there? Because you guys got torched by Phillip Rivers. So what adjustments are those guys going to be able to make on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball? Because this Sunday against the Broncos, you're going to have a mental test against Peyton Manning. Now, I touched on Peyton Manning last week. He's not what he used to be. You could say he has declined, he's in decline, he's declining, whatever way you want to say it. We all see it. Again, tape don't lie. He's not the same Peyton Manning. And after 4 or 5 neck surgeries, being 39 years old, not really feeling your fingertips, you wouldn't be the same either. Playing almost 20 years worth of football, getting hit, you wouldn't be the same either. But he's still Peyton Manning. That mind is still there. His mind has not regressed. He's still a very cerebral player, very smart player, and he's going to be a test. He's still Peyton Manning with that fantastic football mind. So don't think this is just going to be a cakewalk. And don't take the fact that they haven't really had a great running game this season for granted, because they could go out there and have a big game. Now, granted, their last game, which was against the Cleveland Browns, who have the worst rushing defense in all of the NFL, Ronnie Hillman got 112 yards rushing, which was the first 100-yard rushing game for the Denver Broncos. So don't take that for granted. Those guys can come out, they can shock you. And again, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for you. So I'm pretty sure that Peyton Manning and Gary Kubiak have sat down and they've gone over things and maybe have changed up the schematics and have come up with some things that will be beneficial to the long term for their squad. And they may come out and shock you. They may be able to run the football on you, especially if B.J. Raji doesn't play. He is the catalyst for a good run defense. He's shown that this season. You still got Demaryius Thomas out there, big, tall, legit wide receiver. You still got Emmanuel Sanders out there. He's a huge playmaker. They've got some playmakers on this squad. So Owen Daniels at the tight end spot. He's a good pass-catching tight end. They still go out there. Hey, they're undefeated. They're 6-0, just like you. And they boast the number 1 overall defense in the NFL. The Packers boast the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, allowing 16.8 points per game. The team that's right behind them by 0.2 points, Denver Broncos. Something's got to give. Something has absolutely got to give in this game. And that is why I feel I got that gut feeling that this may be the first L for the Green Bay Packers. Packer fans, hold on. Don't skewer me. Don't stab me. Don't put my head on the stick. It's just how I feel. I feel like this may be the first L for those guys. I'm predicting a 24-21 loss. I think the Denver Broncos will come up with one more turnover than the Green Bay Packers, and they'll be able to cash in on that turnover, and it'll be a 24-21 score. I hope I'm wrong. But Denver is a tough place to go in and win. Tough place to go in and win. I'm not saying that the Packers can't get it done. I just have, for some reason, a gut feeling that they won't, and it'll be a very close loss. It's going to be one play, maybe one turnover, but one play, a la their last game against the Chargers. That's the deciding factor in a game. And I feel like it's going to be a 24-21 loss for the Green Bay Packers. I do. I hope I'm wrong. I'm always hoping for the win. But that is just what my gut and what my vision and what has happened over the past few weeks is telling me. I'm hoping it's flip-flopped. I'm hoping the Packers win 24-21. It'll be a thriller. I'll probably bite my nails off. But you know, if that's the outcome of the game and they get the win, all the better. I'll be more than happy to come on here and talk about how wrong I was. No problem doing that. But right now, as I see it, I think it's going to be a 24-21 loss for the Green Bay Packers to the Denver Broncos. Number one defense, number 11 offense, but you boast the number one scoring defense. You're going to give yourself a shot, but it's probably going to be one turnover that decides the game, and it's probably going to be a field goal that decides it. So I just don't feel like it's going to go in the Packers' favor this time around. Prove me wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping wrong. So that's the state of the state. We're in a great space for sports right now. World Series is going on. Basketball is back. We're entrenched into the NFL season. The Milwaukee Bucks start their journey to a championship. At least we all hope so. Tomorrow night against the New York Knicks, you will not have your full complement of players. Jabari Parker is out. Giannis is out. OJ Mayo is out. But we're all excited nonetheless. The Green Bay Packers may have gotten healthier after the bye week. We all certainly hope so. They've got a big game against the Denver Broncos. It is going to be one of their tougher games of the season, and I just don't foresee them coming out with that W, unfortunately. But I hope I'm wrong. We're all going to be cheering for them to win. Coming up on the Toss Sweep, we talked a little bit about predictions. Well, I'm going to get to the rest of the league, the NBA that is. I'm going to get to the rest of those guys, talk a little bit about those teams, tell you who I see not only going to the NBA Finals, but winning the NBA Finals. That's next on Toss. Y'all know we on Facebook. Y'all know y'all can get at us. Go ahead and give us a like. Facebook.com/T-On Sports Show. That is TON Sports Show. Welcome back to Toss, everyone. Your main man T Square Tristan Thomas here with you for another edition. And we are going to head over to the Toss Sweep. Now, before I get to the Toss Sweep, I want to take this time and send my condolences to the Saunders family. Give them my prayers, my love, and my support. We lost Flip Saunders over the weekend to cancer. You all know how I feel about this god-awful disease. I hate it. It was just a couple of months ago where he sat down at a press conference and told everyone, I have cancer. I'm going to go. I'm going to fight it. And I look forward to being back on that bench. And I was hoping to see him. Anytime anyone says they're going to go and they're going to fight it, I always think positive. And I just feel like, yeah, we're going to see them again. We're going to see them again. They're going to fight. They're going to fight hard. They're going to be back. We're going to see them. And unfortunately, this time it wasn't the case. So again, I just want to send my love, my support, my prayers out to the Saunders family, his family, his friends, his colleagues, his team. I know a lot of people are taking this hard. You hear a lot of people talking about him, saying that as good of a basketball coach as he was, and he was a good one, he was a better man. He was one of the great people in life, and that always sucks when someone is, you know him for his professional accolades. You never get to know him personally, and everyone who does know him personally just talks about how great of a person he was, how much better of a person he was off the court. It's just always tough seeing that. So I'm sending my love and my prayers and my support to the Saunders family, taken away by this god-awful disease. But you flip that coin over. Tonight, we have back on the sidelines reporting, doing his thing in some of the loudest suits in life. Craig Sager returned to the sidelines doing his reporting for TNT, which is a welcome sight. He went and fought cancer yet again. And like I said, if you caught it on my Twitter at the 20 double, you would see that I retweeted the picture and I put my thoughts about it. And hey, I'm going to just say it here. It's always good to see somebody kicking cancer's ass. Greatest thing to see. So welcome back, Craig Sager. And it just goes to show you that we may lose some, but we keep some too. Cancer doesn't take everyone away from us. Unfortunately, it does, but it doesn't take everyone. And we just have to be grateful for the moments that we share, for those that we lost, and enjoy the triumphs for those that are still around and kicking cancer's ass. I hate it with a passion. I wish this disease never existed, and hopefully one day it will not. So welcome back, Craig Sager, and again, prayers and support to the Saunders family for their loss. I definitely know what they're going through, and nothing but love and prayers and support is gonna pull you through. Let's continue with the toss sweep and get to the game that Flip Saunders loved so very much, which is basketball. We're going to talk NBA. We talked a little bit about predictions, and I've got a couple of my own. You know, everybody's, got their thoughts about who's going to come out and who's a sleeper, and people are sleeping on some teams. Let's start off with the Western Conference. Look, as far as the West goes, the West is always stacked. The West is always tough. We know this. Some people call it varsity and call the East, junior varsity, whatever superlatives you want to put to it, go ahead. The West is tough. The West is stacked again this season. You're going to have the usual suspects. You're going to have the Spurs. I think they're going to be very good. You're going to have the Clippers. Any Doc Rivers coach team is going to be pretty good. You're going to have the Grizzlies. I think those guys are going to, the grindhouse guys, those guys are going to be good again this year, I believe. But there's a few teams that people are sleeping on for whatever reason. How are you sleeping on the defending champion Warriors? Now, let me get into this a little bit because these comments are making me really mad. They're flat out really pissing me off about the Warriors. You have people saying that the Warriors didn't play anybody last season. Everybody they played was injured. They're not legit champions. They won by luck. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, have you not watched that team all year long? Let me break it down for you. You can only play who you have in front of you. It is not the Warriors' fault who got hurt and when. It's not their fault. Not their fault at all. They went and they handled business. And just because someone is injured on a team doesn't mean you're automatically going to beat them. You still have to go out there and play the game. And that is why they play the game. That's why everything is not decided on paper. If that was the case, you would pick every single LeBron James team on paper because they simply have LeBron James. They don't play the games on paper. They play the games on the court. The Warriors went and they handled business, regardless of who was injured and who was not. So you could stop with that foolishness. And then on top of that, tell me what conference they came out of. They came out of the West, right? The toughest conference in the NBA. One that was absolutely stacked. One where a 45-37 team in the Oklahoma City Thunder missed the playoffs with 45 wins, and another 45-win team made it in the A spot in New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, this is the toughest conference, and they were the number one overall seed. They had the best record in the NBA. What was it, 67-15? I don't see how you can sit here and say that they're not legit champions. Their ring should have an asterisk. They didn't play anybody. I mean, they got 67 wins in the regular season. I believe it was 67-15. But they ended after, if you combine regular season and postseason wins, they ended with the third most wins in NBA history in one season. Let me say that again. The Warriors ended with the third most wins in one season, playoffs and regular season combined, in NBA history. That's 70 years, folks. How are they not legit champions? And how are you not picking them to possibly go and repeat? Guess what? For all of the attention that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson got for their shooting displays, for their high scoring abilities, they were the number one overall defensive team in the NBA last season. Let me hit you with that again. They were the number one defense in the NBA last season, and they were scoring well over 100 points. So not only could they outscore you, but they could stop you all game long. And that doesn't just disappear. Now, they're going to have to tread water without their coach. Steve Kerr is not back from multiple back surgeries. He's not healthy enough to fulfill his coaching duties right now. So you have Luke Walton at the helm, who a lot of people are laughing about. But if you go back and look at timeouts all last season, you notice that Alvin Gentry, who's now the head coach down in New Orleans, and Luke Walton were really the ones setting defenses and really coaching those guys up as far as on the defensive end. They were kind of like defensive coordinators. So if they could tread water, if Luke Walton could lead these guys in the right direction, which last I checked, it was the first quarter of that game. They received their rings, and we'll talk about right now tonight. Steph Curry was going off. Last I checked, he had 17 points, and it was like 7.5 minutes left in the first quarter. I'm recording Toss right now, so I haven't checked that. I don't know what he's up to right now, but he was putting on an absolute display. Those guys look pretty good. They look pretty good. So they could continue to do what they do offensively, because you know that's going to happen. But they can continue to stop teams, play that number one defense that they did all year last year, they'll be just fine, and they'll be a contender. I think they are still a contender in the Western Conference flow. All that talk about the Warriors not being legit, not winning a legit championship, and boom, stop it. Stop it. Those are words of amateur basketball watchers. Those are not the words of wise, seasoned, in-game thinkers. You know, those are people who just like to jump on the bandwagon of other teams that got beat out in sour grapes. Probably most of them Cavaliers fans. But the rest of you saying that are uneducated. And you need to stop and go back and look at it. Being number one defensively is no accident. Being able to outscore anybody just in case you have an off defensive night is not by accident. You still have to go and take care of business on the court, and that's what they did. You can only play who you have in front of you, and that's exactly what they did. They took care of business. They're the champs. They got nice-ass rings. Deal with it. And they're still just as good this year. People are also sleeping on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I get it. They had a lot of injuries last season. Also, Westbrook was out a couple times, but you missed Kevin Durant pretty much all season long. Might as well say all season long with that foot injury. Serge Ibaka went out, missed the rest of the season, but yet they still had a chance to make the playoffs. Throughout all that, they still had a chance to make the playoffs with Russell Westbrook just putting up absolutely ungodly numbers, monster numbers the entire season. Proved to be one of the best all-around players in the game. Absolute triple-double machine. He went off. Now, a lot of people want to make this a battle between Westbrook and Durant. Oh, it's Westbrook's team now, and stop it. Why create controversy when there's no controversy? Durant was injured. Westbrook was the man. He had to go and do what he had to do to keep this team afloat and give him a shot at making the playoffs. And that's exactly what he did. They still won 45 games last season. Just missed the playoffs by 1 game. That last game against the Pelicans. So people need to stop trying to create controversy. There is no controversy there. You got 2 dynamic players in your starting lineup. And you guys are trying to combat them against each other. Well, this is Westbrook's team now. Durant's got to be mad. He's got to go. He's got to go home to Washington in the Baltimore area where he's from. Stop it. Those guys will be better this year. They've always been better together. And another reason why I feel they're going to be better is because of their head coach, Billy Donovan. Yes, this is technically his second NBA head coaching stint because for that brief period of time, he was the Orlando Magic head coach before he rescinded that job and went back to Florida. He just didn't feel it was the right time. He didn't feel it was the right team. Now he feels it's the right time and it's the right team. And he's damn right. Like I said, you have 2 dynamic players in Durant and Westbrook. And the thing that he's going to instill back into those guys is defense. If there's one thing Billy Donovan coach teams do is play defense. Ask Joakim Noah and Al Horford that. Those guys get after it on the defensive end. And that is when the Thunder were at their best. Remember when the Thunder went to the NBA Finals? You know how they got there? Because they played defense. They were one of the better defensive ball clubs in all of the NBA. We know Durant can score. We know Westbrook can score. They can pass the ball. They also can rebound the ball. Those guys are very good all-around players. Very dynamic. But when they were at their best, they were a ball-hawking team. They played excellent defense, and that is what they need to get back to. I said this years ago when they traded Harden to the Rockets for Kevin Martin. I said, I fear that this team is trying to go all offensive and it's going to make them regress. They're not going to reach the heights that they reached before. They're not going to make another trip back to the NBA Finals. Guess what happened? They didn't make another trip to the NBA Finals. Why? Because they became an offensive-laden team. They decided not to stop anybody. It was Matador defense all over the place. Just Olay. Oh, here's the lane. Olay. Let's get the ball back and put it in the cup. You can't win championships that way. You got to be able to go out there and stop somebody. So that's what they're going to get back to under Billy Donovan. They're going to get back to being that good defensive ball club. That's also a good offensive ball club. A la the Warriors. And they're going to make some noise. So do not sleep on the Thunder. I think they would be a lot better than most people are thinking they're going to be. And we have Westbrook and Durant. How can you not be better? Those 2 guys stay healthy all year long. If Serge Ibaka stays healthy all year long, those guys are legitimate threats. If they decide to play defense, which again, I think Billy Donovan is going to make them do, they're legitimate threats. So do not sleep on the Warriors, who are defending champions. You never, ever, ever sleep on a defending champion. Ever. Do not do it. I can understand the Heat. When after they lost LeBron James, that was a different thing. They weren't the same team. But you're not losing anyone off of this Warrior squad, really. So do not sleep on those guys and do not sleep on the Thunder. I think those 2 teams are definitely going to make some noise. But I think in the end, it's going to be one of 2 teams. If healthy, it will be the Spurs going to the NBA Finals. I mean, come on, LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, that's a significant. LaMarcus Aldridge, okay, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Come on. Boris Diaw coming off the bench, a good all-around player. I mean, come on. I mean, that is a pretty deep, pretty stacked team. And you know they get after it defensively. They share the ball offensively. And you add a player like LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, a skilled player who can give you a double-double every single night. I mean, how can you not? How can you not pick those guys? But I just got through telling you, do not sleep on the defending champion. So if it's not the Spurs, it will be the Warriors. I don't think those guys are just going to go away. They may not win 67 games like they did last year. You know, it's not like they snuck up on anybody. They won 51 games the year before. And side note, does anybody know if they FedExing that guy a ring? Mark Jackson? Is he getting his ring in like a separate ceremony? I sure hope they got one for him because he's the one that laid that foundation. I think they would have won a championship last year with him at the helm. I really do. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. He increased the win total every year he was there. So I hope they gave him a ring. I really do. If they didn't, that's a travesty. That was his team. He got Stan Van Gundy'd. Y'all remember when the Heat was on their way to that championship with Dwayne Wade and Shaq? Pat Riley decided to pull the rug from underneath Stan Van. Took it over. They won a championship. Like, he got Stan Van. He got Stan Van Gundy'd. So I hope they got Mark Jackson a ring. He deserves that. But like I said, it will be, I see the Spurs, but if it's not the Spurs, it's definitely going to be the Warriors in the finals. But I'm going to stick with the Spurs. That's just my prediction. Those guys are just too good. They're too good. I never count out the Spurs. They're always in the thick of things. And I'm not going to start counting them out this year. You know, you got Greg Popovich, who is quite possibly right now the best coach in the NBA right now. So I'm never going to count him out. Let's get to the East. We know what the East is. The East will be what the East is. It's always a mixed bag. It's going to be very top heavy. And then when you get past, I think we get past 3, maybe 4, that's when you're going to get the big mixed bag. You're either going to have some 40-win teams or you're going to have some teams under 500, much like it has been for the past few seasons. What did the Celtics make the playoffs with? What, a 39-win record? 38, 39 wins? Ugly. But they made it. So, I mean, hey, kudos to those guys. But I think that's really the result that you're going to get from the Eastern Conference this season as well. You're going to have your usual suspects, as has been the past couple of years. You're going to have the Bulls. The Bulls are going to be up there. Obviously, you're going to have the Cavaliers up there. I mean, come on. That's pretty much a given. Raptors are probably going to be very good. The Hawks will still be in the mix. I don't think they're going to win 60 like they did last year, especially after losing DeMar Carroll, who was pretty much their MVP, was a guy who could score efficiently and was definitely their best defender. Don't see another 60-win season out of those guys, but I think they'll still be in the mix of things. As I said before, I see Milwaukee finishing 5th, so they'll definitely be in the mix. 47 wins, 35 losses. I think in the end it's going to be the Cavs. I think in the end it's going to be the Cavs and the Spurs, or the Cavs and the Warriors in a rematch. I know I can't make a decision on the West, but I just foresee those two teams for whatever reason. And we'll go back and we'll adjust that. We'll revisit predictions and things of that nature. But I just see those two guys going at it. I just see the Cavs and the Spurs, or the Cavs and the Warriors, because they're the best team. And again, they have to be healthy. You're not going to have Kyrie for a long time, so you really can't judge what type of a team they're going to be until he gets back. Kevin Love, he was back tonight. You know, he looked pretty healthy coming off of that shoulder injury. LeBron James is already dealing with injury. Anytime you're dealing with the back, look, this guy has logged a lot of minutes in his career. We're not just talking about on an NBA court, but we're talking about on the world stage for the USA team. He's got a lot of mileage, a lot of basketball, logged a lot of minutes on that body. At some point, you start to break down, and I think he's at that point where that body is starting to say, hey, you need to kind of regress on the minutes. You're the best player in the world, but I think maybe this year, maybe next year, and then that title's gone from him. But I still think that, hey, when healthy, this is still the best team in the Eastern Conference. Cavs will make it out of the East. It will be Cavs and Spurs, or Cavs and Warriors in the NBA Finals. And I foresee, again, if healthy, the Cleveland Cavaliers taking it all this season. Cleveland Cavaliers will be your NBA champions this season. I I just think this is their year. Again, last year they were very just decimated by injury. They're dealing with injury this year already. Kyrie's not there. Shumpert's not there. LeBron's dealing with a back injury. You know, you're going to have to play him reduced minutes. But I see them getting healthy. I see them coming together, and I see them being the best team in the East, and I see them being good enough to win a championship. And I think they will do that this year. So those are my predictions for this season. The Bucks will finish 5th, 47-35. Either the Spurs or the Warriors will be coming out of the Western Conference. We will revisit that at some time on Toss later on this season. It will be the Cavs coming out of the East and the Cavs winning the NBA championship. If anybody's got any beef with that, you can get at me on my Twitter at the20double. You can get at me on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TON Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Let me know you guys have predictions. I love to hear it. I love to debate it. I love to see your reasons why. That's what that page is there for. It's not just for me to be putting stuff up there. It's for you guys to go ahead and get at me, debate some things, talk about it. That's what it's there for. But that's my prediction. Cavs win the NBA championship. If you got something better, let me know. This is Toss. All right, everybody, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This has been another edition of Toss. I want to thank you guys for joining us. It's always fun doing this show. I don't just do it for myself. It's not like I enjoy the sound of my voice, even though it is pretty soothing. I do it for you. I do it because I love it, and I do it because a lot of you guys out there, you're listening. This thing is starting to grow. I see you guys. And I thank you guys for all of your support. Again, get at us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TON Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Get at me on my Twitter at the20double. That's at the20double on Twitter. Again, the live tweet games. I got a lot of things going on there. Enjoy interacting with people, putting my comments out there. Hey, that's what it's for. So if you guys got something you want to get at me about, feel free to tweet me, and I'll make sure to tweet you back. You guys know we are everywhere. We're on Libsyn. That's Libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com. Toss Show on there. Go to Libsyn. Check us out there. Search for us there. We're on iTunes. Go to podcast on iTunes. Search for Toss. I'm going to come up on that show. You'll just click it. Subscribe so you don't miss a minute of Toss. You can go back and listen to all of our old episodes. Subscribe so you're well aware of when our new episodes drop so you can immediately listen anytime, any place. We're also on Stitcher, so go ahead and search for us there. We're everywhere. We're growing, and we got you guys to thank for it, but we're going to keep moving forward, keep moving better for you guys. So, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you that dreams don't catch themselves. Get up, get out, and get after it. Until next week, so long from Toss.